Imagine receiving a wedding invitation from your own younger sister and realizing it wasn't truly an invitation, but a carefully prepared plan to humiliate you before the world. That was the story of Francisca Williams at 45 years old. All her life, she had been the good girl everyone adored, smart, graceful, and beautiful. And Micah was the black sheep of the family, the unpredictable flame that burned anyone who came too close. Yet now, she was the one getting married for the third time. She was the one the whole family celebrated. She was the one whose name danced on everyone's lips like sugar. How cruel can life be? The hall sparkled with flowers, lights, and whispers, all designed to remind Francisca of her single status, her failed relationships, and all the dreams that had slipped through her fingers. As Francisca stepped out of the car and into the crowd of smug relatives and staring guests, her heart pounded. Every glance, every whisper, every mocking smile felt like a challenge. She thought of how she could survive the night without breaking, how she could respond to a sister who was laughing at her in a way that made it clear she thought she had finally won. But in that moment, before the doors opened and the ceremony began, no one, not even Micah, had any idea what was about to unfold.
Francisca sat on the edge of her neatly made luxury bed, staring at the invitation card with trembling hands. The gold letters shimmered under the soft bedroom light, mocking her with every shine. The wedding of Micah Williams and Timothy Bright, it read, elegant and proud, like the card itself wanted to laugh at her. Her heart thudded painfully. She had seen many things in her life. She had endured heartbreaks, disappointments, whispered insults, and silent prayers from aunties who believed she was cursed because at 45 she was still unmarried. But this invitation felt like another level of slap across her soul. She turned the card over and saw a handwritten note at the bottom, Micah's own handwriting, sharp, curvy, and every shade of pride. Please come early, big sister. Don't be late this time. Francisca exhaled shakily. This wasn't a request. It was a reminder. A reminder that Micah was winning again. A reminder that Francisca remained the older sister with nothing to show. No husband, no children, no ring, no glory. It was strange the way life works. From childhood, it had seemed natural that Francisca would be the first to marry. She was the one their father adored, the one who sat quietly by his side, the one who knew the right proverbs, the one who made straight A's, the one who carried herself like a queen without trying, the one who had a solution to almost every problem. Micah, on the other hand, Micah had been the burning coal in everyone's wrapper. She was loud, stubborn, always getting into trouble. She fought boys, beat up other people's children, broke expensive utensils, and caused neighbors to shake their heads in sorrow. Her mother would sigh and say, "God give me strength," almost every morning. But the world has a strange taste. Because when the girls grew up, when men started knocking on the Williams' door, it was Micah every man came for. Beautiful Micah, troublesome Micah, chaotic Micah. Even with 2 failed marriages, one husband who ran off with her bridesmaid and another who packed his bags after 4 months because he couldn't handle her fire, men still returned to her like flies following bright lights.
Meanwhile, Francisca's story was different. First, there was the gentle young banker who left her for a girl 10 years younger. Then, there was the pastor's son who promised her heaven and then vanished to Canada without saying goodbye.
As if that was not enough, a civil engineer came her way and convinced her that he was ready for marriage, only for him to deliver the breaking news 2 weeks later that he had impregnated someone else. By the time she turned 40, her heart felt like a cracked pot, able to hold water, but never for long. And while Micah walked into relationships like someone trying out clothes, Francisca always walked out of heartbreaks with her dignity folded around her like a used cloth. And each time, it grew heavier. As she sat in her stylish bedroom, with trembling fingers wrapped around a wedding invitation that smelt more like an insult than roses, she didn't hear the soft knock on the door. Neither did she hear the second, or the third one. But she heard the voice. It was soft, warm, and belonged to a man. Francisca, are you all right? She didn't answer. She couldn't. She was lost in the cave of her thoughts. The voice called again. Francisca. The door opened quietly, and gentle footsteps entered her room. A warm hand touched her shoulder. She jumped slightly, blinking back into the world. Standing before her was a man. He was muscular, tall, dark-skinned, with charming eyes and dimples that made his smile feel like sunlight. His shirt was simple, his jeans old but neat. He smelt faintly of engine oil and petrol. Francisca, he repeated softly. You didn't hear me. I've been calling you. She swallowed, finally grounding herself in reality. Jairus, sorry, I was... Her voice cracked. Thinking.
Jairus frowned with concern and sat beside her. He wasn't the type to invade space, yet he felt close enough to comfort her without permission. That was something she liked about him, a gentle boldness. Jairus had come into her life 8 months earlier, on a rainy evening when she found him stranded by the roadside, his taxi broken down, and his money gone because a passenger had run off without paying. She had stopped, shared her umbrella, and helped him push the taxi to safety. She even bought him food and gave him cash to fix his taxi. And somehow, that one act tied their lives together in a quiet, steady way. He visited often, helped her fix things, made her laugh. And though she saw him as a friend, a very dear one, she never imagined their lives would cross beyond that. But today felt different. What happened? He asked gently. She handed him the invitation card. Jairus read it slowly, and then he looked at her face. I see. Micah's wedding. She nodded, blinking rapidly to hold back tears. He exhaled and shook his head. She invited you to mock you, didn't she? Francisca's silence was her answer. Jairus leaned closer. Tell me what you're thinking. I want to understand. And so she told him. She told him about the rivalry, the pressure, the whispers, the heartbreaks, the weight of being 45 and unmarried in a world that believed a woman's value was tied to a wedding ring. She told him how Micah always won, how today she felt tired, so tired. At the end, Francisca's voice broke like a weak branch.
I don't know how I'll survive the wedding, Jairus. I don't know if I can face all those eyes, all those whispers. I don't know if I can stand there while Micah laughs in her heart. I feel enough, he said softly, placing a finger on her lips. Don't talk like that. Her eyes widened a little. Jairus' voice softened to something tender, almost musical. I have an idea, he said, if you allow me. Francisca looked confused. What idea? He held her hand and said, I will go with you. She blinked. As what? Jairus smiled slowly, a charming dimpled smile that could melt stress off a person's skin. As your fiancé, of course. Francisca gasped and covered her mouth. Jairus! No, you don't have to. I want to. His voice held no hesitation.
If I go with you, no one will mock you. They will see you happy. They will see you loved. No one will dare pity you. She shook her head. But if someone asks questions, what will you say? He smiled again, his soft and confident smile. Leave the talking to me. I'm good with people. You know this. She did. Jairus had a charm that could calm storms. He made strangers open up like flowers. He could convince a gatekeeper to open the world's biggest gate with nothing but a warm laugh. But still, Jairus, this is too much. He took her hand firmly. Let me protect you, Francisca. You have protected so many people. Let someone protect you too. Her heart quivered. For the first time that day, the heavy knot around her ribs loosened. She exhaled slowly. Okay, she said softly. Okay, you can come. Jairus smiled, eyes warm. Good. You won't regret it, I promise. But deep inside himself, he knew something she did not, and the truth was larger than both of them.
The wedding day arrived with bright sunshine that felt almost sarcastic. Birds chirped too loudly. The whole of VI buzzed with activity. It was the kind of day Lagos chose for celebrations. A day that pretended trouble didn't exist. Francisca stood outside the grand hall, her hands trembling again. But this time, it wasn't because of the invitation. It was because of Jairus. He was yet to show up. He hadn't called. No messages. Nothing. She checked the time again. Guests walked past her, eyeing her with that mix of pity and judgment she knew too well. She came alone, one asked. Ha! Francisca again? She is even shaking, another said. She should have stayed home to avoid embarrassment. 45 years and nothing to show for it, a third whispered. Each whisper stabbed her slowly. Her throat tightened. Her hands felt cold. Her heart began to race painfully against her chest. You promised. Jairus, you promised you would come. Where are you? Why are you not here? Why today of all days? Tears pricked her eyes. A familiar cruel laughter floated across the air. It was Micah.
The bride herself had stepped outside briefly to take photos and spotted Francisca standing there, alone, trembling, and humiliated. A triumphant smile curled across her perfect lips. Well, 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 Micah said sweetly, adjusting her veil. Look who we have here, my beautiful older sister. You came alone, I guess. Don't you think it's time you went for deliverance? I mean, look for those churches that host prayers for single oldies like you. Francisca's lips parted, but no sound came out. Micah scoffed lightly and turned to her bridesmaids. Some things never change. The girls giggled. Her heart dropped like a stone. Her breath hitched. She felt the old humiliation rising, drowning her, choking her, all at once. Then a sound caught through the air. A mighty horn. Deep. Powerful. Royal. Everyone turned. People gasped. 3 black SUVs glided into the driveway, shiny as mirrors, guarded by men in dazzling black suits. The vehicles stopped sharply, and from the second SUV stepped a man in black-collar traditional wear, with gold embroidery that shimmered like early morning sunlight. He removed his sunglasses slowly, and there he was, Jairus. But not the Jairus she knew. This Jairus stood tall like a man used to being obeyed. His outfit carried golden symbols of an unknown dynasty. Around his neck hung a heavy royal pendant. His smile, warm, charming, looked even brighter with the sun at his back. People murmured in confusion. Bridesmaids fainted in their hearts. Even the photographer dropped his camera bag. Jairus walked towards Francisca with long, confident steps, the kind that made the air shift around him. His guards followed at a respectful distance. "Sorry I am late." His voice floated across the stunned courtyard. Duty called. Micah blinked rapidly. Duty? Jairus stopped in front of Francisca, took her trembling hand in his warm one, and bowed slightly.
Her breath paused. The courtyard fell silent. Jairus lifted her hand and kissed it gently, his eyes never leaving hers. Then he looked up, scanning the crowd with calm confidence. "Good afternoon, everyone. Allow me to introduce myself properly." He stood tall, shoulders squared. "I am Jairus Adesina, first son of the king of Arimonda, heir to the throne and crown prince of the kingdom." He paused. A hushed gasp swept across the entire wedding. "But today," he continued, voice rich and smooth, "I am not here as a prince." He turned to Francisca again. "I am here as Francisca's partner, the woman I love." The whispers turned into happy shouts. Micah staggered backward. Micah's groom blinked like someone slapped him. The officiating ministers exchanged looks of awe. Francisca's world spun in slow motion. She stared at Jairus, unable to breathe, unable to blink. You're a prince?" she whispered in his ear, barely able to form the words. His smile softened. "Yes. And you loved me this whole time?" His hand brushed her cheek gently. "I didn't plan to. I was only looking for a good woman with a true heart, someone who would love me without knowing my name, my wealth, or my lineage." His voice lowered, and I found her. Her throat tightened painfully. She whispered, "Why didn't you tell me?" "Because I needed to be sure, and I am sure now, completely." Micah stumbled forward, her face twisted in disbelief. What is happening? This is my wedding day, not a movie."
Jairus turned to her calmly. "Indeed, and your sister deserves respect, something you have failed to give her." Micah froze, stunned. Jairus held Francisca's hand more firmly and led her past the shocked guests. The entire hall parted for them. People greeted him with bows. Some women burst into tears. Some aunties shouted, "God has done it! God has done it!" And by the time Jairus led Francisca to her seat, she felt like she was floating. For once, the eyes on her were not mocking her. They were filled with admiration, jealousy, respect, surprise, wonder. Micah's plan had shattered like glass. Francisca's dignity rose like a resurrected spirit. And somewhere in the middle of all of that, love began to bloom with warm, stubborn wings. After the ceremony, when the night lights shimmered across the lagoon and guests danced with heavy jollof breath, Jairus brought Francisca to the quiet part of the garden behind the hall. The breeze was gentle. The stars looked close enough to touch. He stopped walking, turned to her slowly, held both her hands. "Francisca," he said softly, "you saved me the day you stopped your car. You didn't know who I was. You had no reason to help, but you did. That day, I saw who you truly are. A woman with a heart big enough to shelter a kingdom." Her eyes filled with tears. He went down on one knee. Every sound in the world seemed to stop. "I disguised myself because I needed to find a woman who could love me for who I am and not for my crown or castle. And that woman is you." He pulled out a small shimmering ring, a rare stone that glowed faintly under the moonlight. "Francisca Williams," he whispered, his voice warm and trembling, "will you give me the honor of becoming my wife?" Her breath left her body. Her heart burst open with light. Tears rolled down her cheeks, not of sadness, not of shame, but of joy so full that it made her hands shake. "Yes," she whispered. Then louder, "Yes, Jairus, yes."
He rose, wrapped her in his arms, and the whole garden erupted in applause. Above them, the moon shone brighter, as though blessing their new beginning. And just like that, Francisca's story changed. Not because a prince chose her, but because she finally stepped into the love, dignity, and joy she had always deserved. Micah never expected it. The guests will talk about it for years, and the city of Lagos will never forget the wedding where the bride was outshined, not by a prettier woman, not by a richer one, but by the older sister she tried to shame.
Thank you for watching. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe, and stay tuned.